A very typical beginner mistake when it comes to meditation is believing that you need to stop your thoughts. This is a very typical interpretation of what's going on when someone is meditating. They're not thinking. Meditation has absolutely nothing to do with stopping your thoughts. Meditation has everything to do with allowing the natural flow and rhythm of life to simply move through you. There's a natural unfolding to life, and we typically struggle and fight against it. We feel certain things, we see certain things, we basically pick up certain things, and we want to fight against them. We want to repress them. We basically don't want to feel and experience certain things. And meditation is about trusting the natural rhythm of life. Meditation is about allowing thoughts to simply arise and simply witnessing them. Just allowing yourself to watch what is happening rather than getting lost in the arising and passing phenomena. Meditation is about allowing experience, whatever is going on in our experience, to move through us without resistance. Kind of like how electricity can move through copper with little to no resistance. We want the flow of life to move through us with little to no resistance. And usually what we're doing is we're resisting and we're fighting and we're struggling against our experience, our thoughts, our feelings, people, circumstances. And this doesn't mean that you just become passive and that you can't have like a firm stance or debate or anything like that. There's a major difference between fighting against what's happening and being in a state of acceptance. And meditation is about bringing acceptance to experience. Meditation also has a lot to do with the nature of reality, the nature of being, the nature of existence. It has a lot to do with truth. Genuinely seeing what experience is has a lot to do with personal honesty, has a lot to do with bringing up unconscious dynamics within yourself. I'm a little bit cold out here right now. And it has a lot to do with really just observing how much of your own suffering you're really creating, because close to 90%, if not more, of your suffering is completely self-inflicted. It's something that your own wiring does, your own circuitry does it, your own body-mind does it. And meditation is about really getting honest and clear about the mechanisms within you that lead to your own suffering. So meditation is about becoming more familiar with our experience. We're not really conscious when we're thinking. When thoughts arise, right, you might say, like, I know what thinking is and I'm familiar with thinking, but like, you're really not. You have no idea what thoughts are or where they come from or what they're made out of. It's just a very arrogant point of view to think that you know what all this stuff is and how it works. Meditation allows you to simply watch what's going on instead of being identified with it or attached to it or fighting against it. It allows you to actually observe your own unconsciousness. It allows you to observe really how seriously you take thoughts. Like, just notice how serious you take your own beliefs and your own thinking patterns and what's arising in your mind. And meditation allows you to kind of just step back and really question your own thoughts. And I do a lot of life coaching, and I talk to all sorts of people. And one of the common patterns is that people just have thought patterns that they're so stuck in and they're completely unaware of it. And we have all these patterns in us to basically defend us against pain and to keep repressed pain inside of us basically stuck there so that we don't have to experience it. And meditation just allows you to see this whole inner game that you're playing of resisting and struggling and identifying as a self, and just allows you to see how pointless it is to take your own thinking so seriously. It allows you to really see how you can just question the thoughts that arise into your mind, and it also allows you to bring compassion for the parts of yourself, or compassion to the parts of yourself that really work to protect you, because a lot of our thought patterns are just really here to protect us, right? They're sort of just egoic mechanisms that are helpful for our survival. They're helpful for us to basically maintain our status quo. They might not be healthy for us and, truly the best thing for our survival, but they're trying to allow us to maintain our current form. And like I said, I do a lot of coaching, and person after person after person just has thoughts that completely prevent them from genuinely understanding really what's going on within them, or how they can improve their life, or it's just being stuck in rigid patterns. And it's difficult to see patterns when you're stuck in them, when you're identified with a pattern, right? When you find your sense of identity within an egoic pattern, this just seems true. This just seems like what life is and how it works and who you are, but it just really isn't. Because the second you're able to sort of be aware of it, rather than identified with it and attached to it, your whole perspective starts to shift. Right? I talk to all sorts of people who have beliefs about what reality is and how it works, and what dating is and how it works, and how men and women work. And a lot of their beliefs can really hold them back from just a genuine understanding. Sorry, I'm pretty cold out here. I should have brought a sweater. But without awareness, it's just all these unconscious mechanisms inside of you that are just going to drive your entire life. And really, as you age, it gets harder to even acknowledge these things, because you start building your life upon your own unconsciousness. And by the time you're 40, 50, 60, to really acknowledge that, I've just been mindlessly wandering through life without any deep awareness for decades, that's not an easy thing to stomach. That's not a very, very easy thing. Oh my God, I'm so cold. Easy thing to accept. My God, man, these Canadian summers. It's June and I'm still freezing. No, Canada's generally pretty warm in the summer. It's just an odd day. But really, we have so many mechanisms that just seek to lock us into our patterns for the sake of survival, and to move out of them usually is painful, confusing, uncomfortable. A lot of shadow material comes up. And unfortunately, we're not taught about psychology, or how to grow, or what growth is, or consciousness, or any personal growth, or emotional intelligence. Just some of the most basic stuff that we experience within ourselves in our everyday life, we have no context for, or understanding of, or knowledge of, or practices for how to become more familiar with them, or process them, or just be aware of them. Right? We're not really taught any of that growing up, because our species is kind of immature, if you haven't noticed. But really, just the act of becoming more aware, it's not even an act, it's just a very simple witnessing, is the first step to genuine freedom within yourself. It's the first step to just transcending your own limitations. And see, it goes hand in hand with honesty, right? You need to be aware, but you got to be honest about what's going on inside of yourself as well, right? It's you got to shine a flashlight on yourself, right? And look at all the stuff that's built up inside of you. Be honest about its existence, and honesty is kind of how you go about cleaning it up. So seeing it and just being honest about it, and beginning to kind of process it head on, rather than denying it, repressing it, avoiding it, acting like it's not real, pushing it away, projecting. My God, it's cold. And meditation is basically a very powerful way to really come face to face with all the things that you just avoid within yourself. Whew. Like, this experience of being cold would be 1,000 times worse if I was just, like, avoiding it. But, like, I'm, like, really just kind of embracing the actual cold sensations. And I'm very familiar with cold. I have cold showers every day. So, like, the experience of being cold doesn't bother me as much. Although I would much more, I would prefer it a lot more if it was a bit warmer. But it's never about the thing that you're actually experiencing itself. It's always about your relationship to it, whether it's an emotion or a sensation, a thought. You gotta just examine how you relate to these things. You gotta examine how you relate to your own discomfort and your own grief and anger and sorrow and pain and your own uncomfortable thoughts. Right? And as you kind of just embrace discomfort more and more in a healthy way, not in an unhealthy way, like stabbing yourself or something, as you just kind of begin to embrace your own discomfort in a healthy way, your tolerance for this stuff increases and it just kind of disturbs you less. That's why there's monks who purposely put themselves through pain so that they can really notice their relationship to pain and stop avoiding it so much and really begin to rewire themselves. Whew. So that's it for this video. I'm gonna go back inside before I sit here and freeze to death. But before I go, I want to say that really there's no excuse for not meditating. A lot of people will say that they just don't have the time and all this stuff, but you got 10 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day. You gotta get over that like initial resistance to just sitting down and being conscious. And really deep down, you know that when you start meditating, you're gonna be coming face to face with all the stuff that you avoid and repress. So, it's no surprise that there's resistance there. What is that resistance hiding is a good question. What's that resistance trying to keep you away from? Is a question that you should ask yourself. That's it for this video. I do offer one-to-one coaching. You can book a free call if you're interested. Link is in the pinned comment and the description. Take it easy.